расцветай, и пой наш дом любимый, гордись своим простором золотым. Твоих лугов и пашен край родимый, мы никогда врагам не отдадим.
The place, the Ukraine. The date, May 1942. After weeks of bitter fighting, Russian forces of the 38th Southwestern Army managed to break through German defense lines to the north and south of the city of Kharkov. Their objective, to remove the enemy. However, they were weary and failed, and German commanders counterattacked. Two Russian detachments in the south became cut off, in grave danger, as the Germans threatened to encircle them. Their only line of communication to Soviet command lay along a narrow corridor in the vicinity of Chepel village. May 21st. An advance guard of German motorized infantry stormed into Chepel and closed the corridor. Russian intelligence then reported that Germans were using Priship railway station to unload the tanks and artillery of the 3rd Panzer Division. However, most of the German crews and reinforcement detachments were due to arrive by a separate train from Kharkov and, if mobilized, would completely encircle and entrap the two Russian detachments. Their only hope lay near the village of Chepel, where the Soviet 23rd Tank Corps had been involved in a week-long offensive, making inroads into the German line. But with no air support, they paid dearly with their own blood for every kilometer gained. The remaining troops of the 23rd Tank Corps had only a handful of operational tanks left. The final objective of securing Kharkov seemed unachievable. They should have retreated long ago, as their soldiers, fuel and ammunition were exhausted. But they knew the fate of thousands of stranded Soviet soldiers was in their hands. After a week of bitter fighting, it was a rare moment to rest for the men of the 23rd Tank Corps. Casualties were being attended to, and the engineers were busy patching up the tanks that should have been decommissioned weeks ago. Despite the relative calm, save for a random crack of distant gunfire, the men were unable to rest easy. The basic training they had received several months ago could not have prepared them for the horrors they had witnessed over the past few weeks. The disquiet was soon cut short when the brigade commissar arrived with the grave news that the Germans had finally taken Chepel. They had spared no one, wiping out several machine gun squads who had remained steadfast as ordered. Despite the fact that the tank major only took orders from command, which had been silent over the last day due to a communications failure, the commissar persuaded him to lead the 23rd in a counter-raid on Chepel. The raid was to be conducted in 2 stages. A small group consisting of just one tank, a handful of infantry, and an APC would attack the weaker side of the village, while the remainder of the 23rd would bear the brunt of the main defensive line.
Ahead is the eastern section of the village of Chepel. The defenders are currently engaged in a battle at the other side of the village. It sounds like the remainder of the 23rd have started their offensive. Despite having the element of surprise here, the enemy units are well trained and still pose a significant threat. A man can die but once. around here. For fatherland! For Stalin! Attack! Attack! Hail the revolution! A man can die but once.
Looks like they've run us into a trap.
For fatherland! For Stalin! Let me show you who's boss around here. Bullets fear the brave! Hail the revolution! Take that! Bullets fear the brave!
This wound was not
Well,
part of the
at least
plan.
I'll get some sleep in hospital now.
Let me show you who's boss around here. Kaboom! What the? Hail the revolution!
Can't be.
Attack!
Looks like they've run us into a trap.
Worse than in Stalingrad.
For fatherland! For Stalin! Attack! A man can die but once. Let me show you who's boss around here. If anything can go wrong. around here? Speak of the devil. Fire in the hole!
Days.
Let me show you who's boss around here. Bullets fear the brave. Speak of the devil. For fatherland, for Stalin.